Welcome, everybody, to a special edition of the Good Morning Friends podcast. Today is exciting because we are starting the first of 3 episodes interviewing someone very special to us tape listeners. It was an honor and a blessing to me to be able to sit down and talk with the original tape boy, Brother Jim Maguire. I'm sure each of you will enjoy this as we get to hear about the life and experiences Brother Jim had as Brother Branham's personal secretary and tape boy. Without any more delay, let's listen in. Brother Jim, tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe your early life or where you're from. Anything you want us to know about you.
Okay. Anything to do with religious life happened on August 11th, 1954. I was 15 years old. My dad and Mom took off someplace and said, Jim, I want you to take care of finishing up rod weighting a quarter section of land, okay? You're going to have to do it yourself, so you figure out how you have to do, get the truck down there or whatever. Okay, so I did that. And when I was finishing up, you got to finish the field. You trim it, you know. Every time I come around, there was beautiful blue sky. 2 clouds in it. And every time I come around, the clouds are a little closer. The 4th time, they formed a cross.
Wow.
So that was the first thing I said. I remember at the time, I don't know what that meant, but I know it meant something. When it came to the next year of school for wartime, they weren't going to hire a teacher unless nobody wanted to go to Elrose. That was the next higher up, you know. And I didn't want to go to Elrose.
Elrose, is that a city? Is that a town? Or
800 people. 800. City for us. It had 2 streets, you know what I mean. But that was a bigger school. A bigger school that had more teachers. And then one of the days, I'm going to say October, November, the Houghton bus came in an hour and a half late. Our wonderful teacher took everybody, there was 8 people on that bus, and criticized them jokingly how it was nice to have them come be with us that day, you know. And when Fran came her turn, he said, well, Fran Sothman, got a little ahead of myself, it's so nice of you to join us today. And I looked at, I'd heard about her and didn't know who she was. And a voice told me, one day you'll marry that girl.
Really?
And I'm like, I stayed away from her as far as I could. I was 16 years old. I was going to be a ball player. I didn't want to get married. So that went for a while. Then actually how we got to meet, a bunch of us kids would go to the next town. They had a nice restaurant there. And we'd go and eat. Fran and I were the only 2 that didn't smoke. So eventually we ended up sitting beside each other. I'm as nervous, you can't understand. Little old farm boy. I said, hi. And she said, hi. Can I ask you a question? She said, yeah. So where do you go when you're not in school? She says, do you believe in faith healing? I said, yes, I do. Did you ever hear of William Branham? I said, no, I never did. So that's where we go, Brother Branham's meetings.
So back when you were 16 in high school, and Sister Fran, which eventually you married, she was the one that first told you about Brother Branham. Wow.
First one. But they've always told me, don't ever get around Fran. Her old man's a religious nut. It's exactly what they told me. So the first time I heard Brother Branham talk was the fall of 55. This is Fran. She said, I'm having, the folks they were at a meeting somewhere. We got some tapes in from Leo and Jean, and I want to have all you kids come out. Oh, this is a school, probably 25 people in the room, I guess, just before class started. I want every you guys to come out and listen to what you keep asking me, where do I go? What do I do? I want you to hear it. So there was probably 15 of them. And she come around and says, I want you there too.
Wow.
Okay. We were friends. We weren't dating then, I don't think. We were shortly after. And she played a tape. And you got to understand, I was at the farthest corner of the house for the first half of the tape. When they flipped the tape over, I was sitting beside the recorder.
Wow.
And she said, what do you think of that? I've never heard anybody speak like that.
About how much longer from that point did you meet Brother Branham? Like how many more? This is 55. So
55. I went to Saskatoon in 57. That's the first meeting I was at.
Okay.
And we went in on the weekend. And I remember if we were there, I could show you the spot on the highway where she said it. She says, now, you know, and this is her words, you're going to see Melchizedek tonight.
Really?
And as soon as she said that, this is honest truth, the car started heating. So I pulled off the road. It was her car. I was driving it. And there was 3 or 4 girls went in with us. So I pulled off the road, and whoever had checked the car had never sealed the cap. So, you know, if it's not sealed, it's just good for nothing. And fixed that up, and then we went on in. The first night, we're kids. We went up, sat on the deck, upper deck, you know, as far away as you could get. And Brother Branham said, anybody that wants to feel like they want to give their heart to the Lord, raise your hand. So I raised my hand. And I remember a friend looking around like, did okay. Second night, we were down in the second row. And the second night, Brother Branham, all the preachers were sitting on the front row that sponsored or helped sponsor or were ministers, you know. And Brother Branham went down the whole list, or all of them, where they were from, you know, what church they pastored, how many family they had. It was 25 of them, I think.
My.
I went through every one of them. Never missed anything.
Wow.
And so we went back to the hotel then, and Fred says, what do you think of that? I remember what I told him. I said, that was more than a man.
Amen.
It's the first night he talked about that boy, and it's on the tape. On the tape, he came back and talked about it. The hunchback boy.
Okay.
I was watching when he said, okay, you can open your eyes now. And he put his hands on it, and it straightened up to just like that. He was 12 years old. I've never seen anything like that. First time. And I happened to be there and watch it. So it was awesome. A couple of months later, Brother Branham was in Edmonton in August. And, of course, August is time for harvest. So Fran called me that morning. He says, I'm going up to Edmonton for the weekend. And do you want to go? I said, yeah, I think I can. Here's what happened the night before. It showered just enough that we couldn't do anything till Monday. Because they were harvest. You can't do it when it's wet. You can't.
Right.
Just enough. So I went down. I said, Dad, I think I'm going to go to Edmonton with Fran and the boys. He said, okay, we can't do anything here anyway, so we'll just go. So we went and knew where the hotel was where they were staying. So we pulled in there, walked in, and run right into Fred and Brother Branham.
So that was the first time meeting him then?
First time I met him. And here's the thing. We, Canadians, you get far away as you can't shake hands. You know what I'm saying? Brother Branham said, Maguire, that's as Irish as Paddy's pig. And he gave me a big hug. Well, you know, we're not used to that stuff. It was pretty funny. But we did get to eat with him probably 3 times on that weekend.
Wow.
And he asked a lot of questions. He kind of, he was looking for something. That's what I'm looking back, like he recruited me. Why in the world would he recruit me? So that was all of that. Then I went to university starting in 57 or 58. And we shut down the university in January because it's so cold and snow and everything. Back then, it snowed every year, 8 or 10 feet. So a friend called me and says, we're going to Chicago meetings. Do you want to go? Yeah, I got nothing to do. There's nothing going on at the university. So we went down there to those meetings and got to eat with Brother Branham probably 5 or 6 or 7 times. And we were at a table like this, and every time but one time, Brother Branham sat where you were, and Fran and I sat here. And he talked to us personally.
My. Do you remember anything from those conversations that you had with Brother Branham, sitting right across from him those many times?
He eventually said that you can't farm. You told me you can't farm. Yeah, we didn't have I didn't have enough land. And you don't like school. No, I'm not a school person. Then come on down and sojourn with us.
Wow.
So.
Were you and Sister Fran married at the time, or are you still dating? Or
dating. We went home and got our paperwork got ready for moving down then. In October 58, somebody got married. So Brother Branham was going to come on up and marry us. But my sister was in the hospital with a child. And they were trying to induce it, and they didn't. We kept bouncing back and forth, so we ended up the only weekend that was open was the 11th. So anyway, he said, tell the kids to come down, and I'll see them. If they want to come down their honeymoon, I'll see them down to Jeff. So, because he had already had meetings set up. And he said, I can't do that. So we came down on our honeymoon. Brother Branham talked to us for probably 2 hours, and he said, let's see, you are married in the United Church. I said, yeah. Father, Son, Holy Ghost, yeah. Let's remarry you the proper way. And he did. He married us again. And he said, well, you kids have a good time. I want to ask you one more thing. Okay, sure. Of course, you're going to say no. I'll have to think about this. In the spring, I want you to go to Fort St. John, British Columbia, buy a ranch, and raise your children there. This is after 10 times getting us to move down. This is what he said. But we went up there in the spring and looked around, finally ended up going to a real estate person. I said, is there anything for sale? And I remember the guy saying, just almost starry-eyed, I've been here for 26 years. First time I've ever seen a place with nothing for sale.
Wow.
So we came back. So Brother Branham asked us when we came down, he said, how'd the trip go to Fort St. John? I said, good. Nothing for sale. Oh, okay. That's all he said. But we did it. We went.
You obeyed. Yeah, you went and you did exactly what he asked you to do.
So anyway, that's up until we moved down.
Wow. I sure enjoyed that. I loved hearing about how he heard of Brother Branham and his first experiences seeing him in person. I trust that you did as well. Well, this wraps up this part 1 of 3, and I can't wait to hear more. Thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to the next episode. Until then, God bless you and shalom.